Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. We're unpacking an absolutely endearing mystery from 1966. We're talking hundreds of witnesses and what sources describe as a chillingly effective government cover-up. And the crazy thing? We've got an extensive trail of media clippings, declassified audio, and some highly guarded documents to back it all up. So to kick things off, we really have to ask ourselves a fundamental question about the fragility of truth. And honestly, this matters just as much today as it did back then. I mean, how can a massive collective experience shared by so many ordinary people just vanish from official history, right? This wasn't some blown witness on a dark, deserted highway at midnight. No, this happened in the middle of a bustling suburb in broad daylight surrounded by onlookers.
We're talking about over 300 students and staff at a suburban Australian school who reported seeing a massive, completely unexplainable craft. Over 300 people. That's a crowd size that makes the whole mass hallucination theory highly improbable. And yet, the official records? Practically non-existent. So how does that even happen? Well, let's break down the evidence.
Section 1. The April 1966 Encounter.
You know, what's really striking here is just how perfectly normal and mundane Westall High School was back in 1966, right before this reported anomaly showed up. It was just a growing school in Clayton, South Melbourne, bordered by open fields and a little patch of bushland called the Grange. It was a completely standard, run-of-the-mill Wednesday morning, right up until the recess bell rang.
Now, according to declassified audio recorded by an American physicist, which actually features a science teacher named Andrew Greenwood, that normal morning escalated insanely fast. It went from a standard recess break to an event that literally left people screaming. Greenwood said it all started when this hysterical kid ran into his classroom, swearing there was a flying saucer outside. Greenwood initially thought the child was, well, out of his mind, but when he stepped out to check, he found a huge crowd of students just staring at a hovering object right near the power lines. Within 20 minutes, the entire school oval was watching, and then the object just vanished at a staggering speed.
And the witnesses provided strikingly consistent descriptions of this thing. They described a silent, hovering craft. Some called it a silver-gray metallic disc, others said it looked like a giant silver cigar. It was about the size of a family car with a flat base and this really distinctive metal rod sticking straight up into the air. Students who actually ran toward it as it dipped low over the Grange bushland said they felt intense heat and heard this distinct buzzing sound. It even left a physical footprint, a totally flattened, scorched patch of grass where it seemed to touch down.
Section 2. An aerial cat and mouse. Okay, so this is where the records get truly fascinating. That American physicist Dr. James E. McDonald, who is well known for researching this stuff, actually recorded Andrew Greenwood describing a jaw-dropping aerial chase. Greenwood, along with about 350 other people, watched as 5 light civilian aircraft, likely Cessnas, approached the object. He literally called it the most amazing flying he had ever seen in his life.
The sources detail this bizarre game of cat and mouse that unfolded right above them. These 5 planes completely surrounded the craft, doing everything they could to get close. But every single time they approached, the object would slowly accelerate, suddenly dart away, and then just stop again. The planes would pursue it, and this cycle repeated for a solid 20 minutes. Greenwood noted he had absolutely no idea how the planes avoided crashing into each other midair. Finally, the craft just shot away and vanished in seconds. I mean, if this was just a weather balloon like authorities later claimed, why on earth were 5 planes scrambling to chase it with such erratic, high-speed maneuvers? It just doesn't add up.
Section 3. Silencing the witnesses.
Unsurprisingly, local media, like the Dandenong Journal, caught wind of the incident pretty quickly. They even ran the headline, "Flying Saucer Mystery, School Silent." But those reporters quickly hit a massive, deliberate wall of silence orchestrated by school authorities. Journalists trying to investigate were completely stonewalled. Just nothing. And the intimidation was immediate, and it was severe. According to Greenwood, the headmaster, who was apparently deeply scared and had refused to even go outside during the sighting, ordered everyone back to class immediately. He then gave a harsh lecture, threatening the children with severe punishment and the staff with getting fired if they ever spoke of it. Bizarrely, when the Royal Australian Air Force actually called the headmaster, he told them to go and jump in a lake. Oh, and to make it even more intense, multiple witnesses reported that sharply dressed men in dark suits arrived shortly after. They pulled students into private meetings and warned everyone to just keep their mouths shut. This chilling atmosphere of censorship was compounded by something incredibly unsettling. During the actual sighting, a young girl collapsed right near the scorched grass at the landing site. Witnesses recall she was taken away in an ambulance, and after that day, Her entire family relocated abruptly and permanently. They left zero explanation to her peers, just gone. The complete removal of this student from the community served as a pretty grim warning to anyone else thinking about speaking out.
Section 4. The Secret Cover-Up.
So, for decades, the official government line has dismissively labeled the whole event a stray high-altitude weather balloon, basically relying on official silence to kill the story. But investigative journalists like Ross Coulthart have actually uncovered references to a highly classified government report. This was compiled by the now-defunct Department of Supply. And this buried document, which is known as the Westall Papers, tells a very different and deeply explosive story.
I mean, just look at the extreme measures taken around this document. It was authored in 1967 by a senior aviation engineer, known to researchers only as Mr. X. This guy spent days at the school conducting an extraordinarily intense investigation, and he was reportedly so freaked out by the implications of what he found that he only made 2 copies of his report. He hid one in his house and actually used his wife as a morbid insurance policy, making her promise to burn it upon his death, which, by the way, she did. And the second copy? Well, it was transferred to the Department of Defense archives in 1974, where it remains completely locked away from public eyes to this very day.
And if you're sitting there thinking this cover-up is just some piece of ancient history, well, think again. The active suppression of this event is literally happening right now. Just recently in 2024, a major Daily Mail article exposing this exact Mr. X cover-up and the Defense Archives was published online. But, as documented by users on Reddit forums, the article was abruptly and mysteriously scrubbed from the internet in real time. We're not talking about a standard 404 error here. It was wiped completely off the site as if it never existed. This has led researchers to suggest there's a highly coordinated effort to keep a lid on this story, even today.
It's honestly deeply ironic when you contrast the dual realities happening in this suburb. On one hand, you have the everyday, mundane paperwork of the local city of Kingston, publishing standard annual reports on maintaining family support services, super normal stuff. But on the other hand, that exact same local council had to deal with a mind-bending reality, and they eventually turned the actual landing site at the Grange into a UFO memorial park, just to acknowledge the bizarre, inescapable history of that very spot.
Which leaves us with a final thought to ponder about the nature of official narratives, and just how fragile the truth really is. If hundreds of people in broad daylight merely saw a weather balloon getting chased by airplanes, why were children threatened? Why are journalists still being censored today? And what exactly is so terrifying that it is still hiding in those defense archives over half a century later? It's a question that absolutely demands an answer.